Welcome to today's Design the Best Candidate Experience for the Future of Work webinar with Qualtrics. This is part of AKT's Insight series, where AKT is a certified Qualtrics partner with an established global employee experience practice, and it also has been an SAP partner for more than a dozen years. Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle, and I am the facilitator for today's webinar. A few housekeeping. All attendees are in listen-only mode, so you're able to ask questions through the chat box in your dashboard. And alternatively, you can always email info@aktglobal.com. So before I introduce our panelists for today, let me first introduce AKT to all our new time participants. AKT is one of the largest human experience management cloud solution consultancies in the EMEA region, with local teams in the UK, France, Czech Republic, Switzerland, Israel, and now in South Africa. We are a Qualtrics certified, full-service experience management firm with a team of 250 experts providing technology implementation, end-to-end managed services, and an expert strategic consulting. We've supported more than 500 Qualtrics and SuccessFactors projects globally and counting. So, on to today's panelists. Who we have today, and I welcome our panelists to get on camera. First, from the left, Eric Blum, who's a partner for experience management at AKT Global. He's broadcasting from the lovely French Alps in Chamonix. Anne Farrington, she's account manager at Qualtrics, broadcasting from Dublin. Gani Levy-Nishri, she is our head of EX advisory at AKT Global, who's broadcasting today from Tel Aviv. And Federico Manfredonia, who's broadcasting from Florence. And he's our technical solution engineer at Qualtrics. And I forgot to mention that I am broadcasting from London. So, on to today's webinar. Eric, would you like to hit it off?
Hey, hello everybody, and thank you, Michelle, for this introduction. And I think it's worth mentioning that that panel here is one of the best demonstration of our commitment to diversity and inclusion. So really excited to be here. And thank you for joining. We have a huge interest for that topic, that is candidate experience, for that webinar on all along the last month when we released this new opportunity. And what does it say? It says that hiring is absolutely a big topic for all of the companies and for yourself in your organization. And that is great news. And actually, it's only growing, as we'll see with a few numbers that I'm going to share. But we can also say that hiring is not going to be easier in the months to come, in the years to come. Why that? We know that there are a number of jobs that are going to be posted that do not exist today, meaning how to go find people who have already done that job, because there are new jobs on the wave of digital transformation. New ways of working with new managerial practice, new managerial expectation on the people we're going to hire. And last is new demographics. A lot of new people coming out from the academics and the university with different ways of looking at their commitment to work and their aspiration for the future. So it's a lot of new challenges that we have to embrace. As Michelle mentioned, we have a long experience at AKT on helping our customers implementing SuccessFactors hiring model. We have interviewed about 60, a little bit more than 60 of them, and asked them, what are your objectives when considering hiring? And what they told us is, well, obviously, and they're kind of common, I would say, hire the best, hire on time, hire efficiently. But what does it mean behind that? It means like, how do I make sure that for hiring the best, I have the best people applying to the job? Hiring on time. How do I make sure that the people in the hiring team are actually doing their best to be available when required? When hiring efficiently, how much do I leverage the services, the technology in a way that my hiring process is being streamlined? And how to make sure that I hire the people at the right salary so that they stay in the company for long? We believe that the employer brand is going to be a key element to enable you to achieve those objectives, to hire on plan, and to perform beyond your personal plan. And that goes into developing a talent pool. That goes into understanding how effective you are with the new multi-channel practices so that you can actually do that. So let's go to the next slide. We push our voice of the customer practice a little bit further, and we ask you a few questions before joining that webinar. And I want to thank all the people who responded. And I looked at what's the outcome of, or what the feedback, the findings from 50% on beyond of those people who answered. And what they say, it's a big gain. A number of you have having a plan to hire more than 250 people in the next 12 months with costs that are within benchmark, but still reporting a fairly understanding that there will be quite of attrition within those people you're going to hire, which is a problem in itself. And obviously, it comes with a more complex process with big internal talent acquisition team, more than 10 people, a fairly large number of people being engaged, and the hiring cycle being within benchmark. So it's going to be big, it's going to be more complex, and it's all about how do I understand how the technology is going to help me to scale that. There was one question we have here, and we're going to ask one question after that to you after this. And the question was, how do you behave today? How much have you embraced the new recruitment technologies? And I like to use an English London statement, mind the gap, for those who have enjoyed the underground lately. It's, you know, a large use of everything that can standardize the process of hiring. And that is what you see on the left. SuccessFactors hiring, ATS, using LinkedIn-like technologies to source more candidates. But look on the right, which is where the gap is, which is about how much do you take the pulse of the candidate for those that you hire, but more important for the other 90% that you don't hire today for that actual job. And there is very little being reported by you that help you to have that voice of the candidates and therefore be effective at building that talent pool and therefore being able to accelerate on and on and on from all the work that you are doing. So let me go and ask that one question before we go and crack it with the rest of my friends on the panel. And on that question, you can see we're helping you here, if you are kind enough to answer the question right now, is how technology can help you to improve your recruiting performance. And whether it saved your life or gave you a good crutch, maybe you consider it's nice to have, or you like some of the French, like non, 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 c'est tout moi, question 4. Or question 5, I have no clue. So please give us be kind and answer to the question so that we can look at what is the voice of this of the room today. Okay, so we can see live the results. I feel like at the Eurovision. So Michelle from Paris, I give that.
Exactly.
So, okay, so we see here that we have a lot of people who are prepared to go bet, who have already bet on the technology to help them, help them doing a better job at recruiting and hiring, which is a bias. So that is going to set the challenge for Gunny and the rest of the Qualtrics team to actually, so Anne and Federico, to actually show us why we believe the practice on the candidate experience technology supported by Qualtrics can actually take your hiring performance to the next level up. So without further ado, it's my great honor to actually now pass the stage, virtual stage, to Gunny, who lead our employee experience advisory practice at AKT. Gunny, it's all yours.
And thank you, Eric, for the interesting introduction. Before we dive into candidate experience, let's start with the employee journey, the employee life cycle. Well, the employee life cycle goes from recruitment to exit, and we would argue that it even starts before recruitment, when a person decides whether or not to apply for a position or whether or not to answer a call from the recruitment phone call. The candidate experience is the first significant experience that the employee is going through as part of his employee life cycle. And this could color the beginning of employment in positive or negative colors. So this moment is very powerful. I'd like you to meet John. John is a client of ours. He uses our product, he's a very satisfied client. He recommends our products to other friends and family. He's looking for a new job. He's currently employed, but he's searching for new opportunities outside of his company. So John logs into our career site, and he finds an interesting opportunity. He knows us as a client, but he wished to learn more about us as employers. So he logs into Glassdoor and he reads the reviews there written by others, and generally it looks okay. So he decides to submit an application form. So far, so good. John tries to submit an online application, but he finds that there is no online application and he needs to fill a lot of forms. It takes him a half a day. It takes him a lot of energy and effort, but finally he gets this done. It took 3 weeks until he hears something back. He assumes that the position is irrelevant anymore, but after 3 weeks, he gets a phone call from the recruiter asking him to set the interview. The interview was not as he expected. The interview was cold. The situation was not so friendly. He didn't have room for questions. He got another assignment. It took him another half a day to complete, and he never got feedback for this assignment. And then another 6 weeks have passed, and he didn't hear anything from the company. He assumes again that the process is over. And then after 6 weeks, he's getting called, good news, we would like to offer you the position. So John gets the offer, and he decides to decline it. The offer doesn't meet his expectations, and because he had some bad experience along the way, he chooses to go with another company offer. John is no longer a client of us. He doesn't buy our product anymore, and is not a good ambassador of ours. So let's see what John's bad experience mean. So as I mentioned before, he doesn't buy our products anymore. He also posted negative reviews on Glassdoor. It could also be Facebook and LinkedIn, and other can repost it or retweet it, so it gets to a larger population. He shared his experience with his friends and family. 2 of them mentioned that they will warn other friends that are about to apply for the same company. And his family prefer to buy products from the competitors. And he will never reapply for the same company. Well, John is not alone in this. We are in an era where information is available, the data is available in very fast and easy ways. Candidates know more than you think. They are doing their homework. They have all the information they need in their fingertips. And if we don't ask them about their experience, they will find the platform to share those experiences. It's not only that candidates do their homework, but they're also activists. When a candidate goes through a bad experience, it is not the impact of this bad experience is not limited to this candidate only, but rather to other future candidates and to current clients. And when we explore candidate experience, we can't ignore the candidate-customer linkage. And let's see here the case study of Virgin Media. And they were able to calculate how much does it cost them to provide a poor candidate experience. Because according to their estimation, if 6% of the rejected applicants would cancel their subscription, and if we multiply this by 50 euro per month and by 12 months, they found out that they were losing 4.5 million euro per year. So the business case for Virgin Media is very clear. Why should they invest in candidate experience? So let's look at the opposite sides, and let's go back to John. What if John's experience was positive? So John would refer his friends to the company. Most of them are employed with good jobs, but we are aware of the talent market, and when there is a good opportunity out there, a talent can consider it. He would keep tracking next opening in the company to reapply in the future. Since he received a meaningful feedback throughout the process, he would work on his managerial skills, his current role, and his loyalty to the company products would have strengthened. But John is not alone here, because the research showed that most of candidates would consider to reapply for the future and would refer others if they had a positive experience, a positive candidate experience. So let's summarize the business case of good candidate experience. So if we provide good candidate experience, we will be able to attract more candidates. Candidates will reapply and refer others. We will be able to compete for top talent, and we will be able to improve the quality of hire. We will also be able to increase brand awareness and to reduce hiring costs and hiring time. And now that we are all clear about the impact of candidate experience and the business case for candidate experience, we need to understand that the best way to improve candidate experience is by deeply learn how it feels to be a candidate in our company. And in order to deeply understand what it means to be a candidate in a company, we need to ask the candidates, how do they feel about their experience? We need to learn more about their experience in their own words or in their own indication. And by doing this, by asking candidates throughout the process in different touch points, how do you feel about this interview or this application form, we can learn where to put our efforts and where do we need to improve most. So let's see John's journey again, but this time with different touch points where we ask John about his experience. For example, when he logs into our career site, we can ask him, how did you hear about us? Or what is his impression of the company prior to the interview, prior to the recruitment process? With those, we will be able to learn more about the employee value proposition, the EVP, and our brand awareness. In other touch points, we can ask him whether he's satisfied with the application process. What is his experience about whether we communicated openly and consistently along the way? Is he satisfied with the overall process? What was the overall experience for him? So by asking those relevant questions in the relevant touch point, we can learn a lot and improve our candidate experience. I would like to share with you a story of one of my clients. We worked together on candidate experience, and they indicated that for some positions, not all positions, but for some positions, although many candidates apply, many of them also quit the process in a very early stage. So we pulsed this population and asked them about their experience and about the reason they chose to quit. And we learned that although those positions are mainly for parents, for mothers or raising kids, for single mothers, for single mothers in many cases, the interviews are taking place in the afternoons. So although the position is suitable for parents, but the recruitment process is mainly in the afternoons, where it's less suitable for parents. It sounds maybe very simple. How couldn't you figure out this in the beginning? But it is part of the routine of this company to perform the interviews in the afternoons for all positions. And they didn't figure out that for those specific positions, we should act differently in the recruitment process. So we changed the process, and for those positions, we interviewed in the morning time or early noon. And this simple step increased the number of candidates who went through the interview stage by 20%. So here's another true example of the business case of good candidate, of how to listen to candidate experience. Before I pass it to Anne, who will show us how can Qualtrics support this listening throughout the different touch point of the recruitment process, I would like you to take a second or 2 seconds to ask yourself, how much do you truly know about your John, the different Johns of your company? Thank you, guys, and to you.
But thank you, Gani, and hi everyone, good morning. My name is Anne Farrington and I'm part of the employee experience team at Qualtrics. So thank you, Gani, for walking us through John's shoes. It's been 6 years at Qualtrics, so it's been quite some time since I've been in that position and going through that candidate journey, so that I found that really, really interesting. So today I'm going to spend a couple of minutes to tell everyone a little bit more around Qualtrics. And also our strong relationship with SAP and SuccessFactors. And I'm going to speak a little bit more around, the candidate journey and the 5 stages that we've identified that a lot of our customers are actually measuring to understand, listen, understand, and act off the candidate feedback. Then I'm going to pass to Federico, and he's going to, start to bring a little bit more of the technology to life and hopefully show you how we can help you measure different touch points through different channels in order to optimize. So yeah, just very quickly, for those of you who may not be as familiar with Qualtrics, we've actually been around for some time. So we were founded in 2002. We actually have over 10,000 customers globally. 1,500 of which are specifically running many employee experience programs through the Qualtrics technology. But we operate really strongly in sort of 4 key areas. One being customer experience, one being product, employee experience, which is obviously the focus for today's discussion, and then brand experience. And so we're market leaders, certainly within EX, which is great news for our customers, but also, we're the only experience management platform out there on the market. And we can help you really easily bring together all of your experience data, or what we're calling our X data. And that's really everything around, how do your employees feel about your organization? How do they feel about certain experiences throughout the life cycle, etc. But really where the strong collaboration and the strong partnership with not only AKT, but also SuccessFactors and SAP, it can help you bring together a lot of your operational data that you have held within SuccessFactors, held within your CRM system. And no doubt you have a lot of data. So data on performance, your top performers, it could be tenure, it could be certain demographic data. And we're saying this is the O data. So that's really where Qualtrics can add a lot of value, that we can bring together your experience data, so all of your feedback from your employees, and bring that together with a lot of your rich operational data that you have in SuccessFactors, and also start to trigger surveys throughout the life cycle, making it a lot more personable as well in terms of the programs that you run through Qualtrics. Employee experience, it's such a wide topic, and you can see here at the very foundation, and what we want to do at Qualtrics is really to enable you and enable our customers to understand the key drivers and drive action. So Gani mentioned a really simple action there before around, the interview process being in the afternoon and not being very specific to or at a good time to help parents actually attend that interview. Really simple action, and that's ultimately what we want to do at Qualtrics, is to empower you to listen, understand, and act on key areas or gaps within your experiences. And there's so many gaps that we could help you measure. You can see a lot of them here, around the individual experience. Am I feeling paid fairly for the work that I do? Am I being developed in the right way? Then we have maybe the more traditional type of organizational programs that you may want to run, and that could be, your traditional engagement survey. It might be, equity and inclusion. We talked about diversity earlier. As Eric rightly pointed out, we're a hugely diverse team here today. The workplace experience in the light of COVID and the fact that we're all working remotely, that's a really prominent experience for organizations to understand and close gaps in, the systems we interact with on a daily basis. But the focus for today, as we mentioned, is really around the transitional period. And that could be everything from candidate experience. It could be triggering surveys automatically through SuccessFactors on day 1, 30, 60, 90 days of your new joiners. So there's a whole broad spectrum. But candidate experience, as we mentioned, is becoming crucial for organizations to start to measure and optimize. As I said, I've been in Qualtrics in the EX part of the business for nearly 6 years now. So when I first joined, we were very used to our customers maybe triggering one standard survey, one moment in time to all applicants, whether they applied, whether they rejected an offer, etc. So very, very standardized and generally only triggered at one touch point through one channel. We're seeing a huge shift now and a huge shift because the technology and Qualtrics specifically has helped our customers sort of fill that gap, to look at 5 sort of key stages that you can then ask for feedback, understand what the data is telling you, and essentially close the gaps in those experiences. And so Bonnie mentioned, you know, putting ourselves in John's shoes. I'd like to put ourselves in maybe your shoes today and really outline maybe some key questions that you might already be asking, which is great. But it's important to really understand from the organization standpoint, you know, if you're making this experience really, really seamless for your candidates in order to bring the top talent into your business. So yeah, at the investigative stage, you know, this is before anyone's even applied to the job, and they might be browsing on your career website. They could be looking at your values, for example, in Qualtrics. You know, our organizational values are very important to how we fit in with a culture. And so you might want to ask, you know, where the candidate or was the candidate able to find the information they were looking for? Was the website easy to navigate? And you may want to even ask John, you know, is he serious about this role, or is he just dipping his toe in the water, in the job market water? So the second stage is all around the application process. And again, from John's perspective, he wants to make sure that it's really easy. There's not too many steps in it. He can very easily upload his CV if needed. For you guys, and for the fact that you've probably invested a huge amount into an applicant tracking system, you know, is the application process easy? Does it reflect the potential role, and was the technology easy to use? The third piece is around the evaluation process. So this is where maybe your recruiters get involved in terms of the screening process. Again, the type of questions that I want you to take away today, you know, was the communication between your recruiters and whoever's going to be screening the applicants, was it prompt? Was it clear? And did they give John clear next steps in terms of the process? Does John have a solid understanding of who's going to be involved in that process? And does he feel that maybe the process was fair and inclusive? So very, very simple questions, but if you're doing something wrong, or if you're not aware of you know, something being broken throughout that part of the experience, as Bonnie mentioned, it could be a very, very small action that you take in order to improve that. The fourth stage is the interesting one. So that's all around the dialogue and the interview process. I actually have an interview today with a candidate in Qualtrics. So we like to include peers and people from different teams to also participate and have a conversation around maybe values or culture with potential candidates who want to join Qualtrics. So I have one of those today, and you know, my main role is not only to understand if they're going to be a good fit in line with our values, but also present a really positive image of Qualtrics and the type of organization we are. So again, having a positive impression of that is absolutely crucial. And you may want to ask, you know, were the interview questions fair? Did they feel respected as a candidate? And is the communication clear and prompt? The final piece is hopefully you get to contract stage if you're either John or if you're part of the talent acquisition team. And again, this is maybe where the negotiation part starts, but want to make sure that when you get to contract stage, you know, the individual candidate feels like the offer meets their expectations, they clearly understand the offer, and that the communication is clear and prompt. So hopefully, you know, that leads to bringing the right candidate into the business and not losing key talent maybe at the last stage. Of course, Federico is now in a moment going to take us through the Qualtrics technology and maybe bring some of these things to life. But before I do, I just wanted to highlight, you know, not only are we providing the best technology on the market, but we're also providing a lot of the validated methodology behind that. And what that means is we can give you the questions and the items and the drivers of what drive a good candidate experience. And we've identified, along with our XM scientists and our subject matter experts at Qualtrics, to be the technology that has been interacted with, clarity of the role, fairness, attractiveness, timelines, and personalization. So we can give you all of this methodology as well, which can then be built into the Qualtrics technology. So on that note, thank you again for your attention, and I'll pass to Federico, who's going to actually bring us through the demonstration.
And we will continue now with John's story, and the story of a candidate and across all the different steps. As Anne was showing now with the funnel, our EX expert designed this candidate experience solution and identified 5 main stages. And now we will see it from a technical point of view, how to ask feedback at each stage, of course, with the right channel and in the right moment, and drive John throughout all this. Our goal with Qualtrics is, of course, to understand where are the gaps and where we can improve. Imagine that from the investigate, so from potential candidates that browse into the career site, maybe from 1,000 of them, then 100 apply, and then only 1 will get the offer at the end. And we want to understand the dropout rate when, of course, candidates are screened by the recruiter, but sometimes they spontaneously abandon the process, and we want to understand that, of course. So which is what we call even pre-candidate. Start with the first stage, with the experience, because I am just browsing the career website, and of course I will browse not just one company website, and you team, you don't have any about in the talent information yet in your candidate. You don't even know their name yet. So it's important to start with the digital experience in the career website. So let's start from that.
So let's continue with the story. So I browse all the different positions, and I'm interested in one specific position, and I click one of the position, and this is, for example, a technical program manager. What we can put here, of course, I'm John, I'm reading the description, the requirement, and all the different details of this job position open offer. What we can put here is a simple yes or no question if the job description is clear. This again seems very simple, but you will get a lot of insights. What we don't want here is to lose time both of John, or in general the candidate, and the talent team, because if I apply but I will discover later in the process that I didn't understand what is really the position or maybe the requirement of the position, of course I will either spontaneously abandon the process or I will be screened out. So here is to improve the efficiency of the candidate experience. So from here you will get an insight if the position is clear or not, or if you need to improve the description. We use it also in Qualtrics. So if here I select that is not clear, I can also leave a comment. I prepared a comment, and since I'm Italian, I will leave the comment in Italian also, because Qualtrics is able to capture text comments with our Text IQ tool, which is our text analytics tool in multi-language, and we'll analyze that, assign topic, and assign a sentiment score. So then you can act and take action on single comments. Then the next step, now let's imagine instead that I understand the description. I have from my understanding, I have the right requirements, so I want to apply. So of course the next step is to go into the apply section. Now usually here in all career website, it will ask you, of course, to put some contact details, to attach CV and other kind of documents, of course. And this process is very painful for the candidate. Imagine if you are looking for a job, so you're doing this several times in several websites, so you really notice here difference where there are some career sites that are very optimized and other that can cause any issue. It could be technical issue or simply the design is very hard to insert all the info. So here what we can do is trigger a survey when I'm abandoning the page. So trying to intercept a potential candidate that wants to stop the process. So here, if I select I had an issue with the application, I'm able to leave my contact, and of course this then will trigger an action. Again, Qualtrics is a system on action, so we'll open either an email or a ticket or a case or a message to the recruiter team or a specific recruiter to keep in touch with this potential candidate. Then, of course, as we were seeing before with the methodology, we are also asking few questions about the experience of this stage. So the experience with the digital experience with the career website. So about the job description, navigation, and so on. And we also encourage to leave open text, which are the one from which we get more insights. Okay, let's go back to the dashboard. So we saw the first stage, which is what we call the pre-candidate experience. Of course, if I am John, I apply, and then the next step probably I will be either screen out or will get a screening call, a screening interview from the recruiter. So from here, this is our dashboard where all the data will flow in and they are live. So every new response will be updated real time in the dashboard. And from here, you have both the experience data coming from the surveys, but also what we call the operational data, so coming from your ATS. So for example, how many people apply today and so on. From the dashboard, you have, this is the overview page. You have an overview of all the candidate experience. With this journey widget, you can see the overall candidate experience score. How is it this month and in comparison with last month, for example. So we see here that there is a quite relevant drop. And then you are able to understand at each stage how you are performing. For example, here I can see that there are two stages in which I'm not performing at the best, let's say. For example, the interview phase. The interview phase is when after the screening call, you start to have interview, as Anne was saying before, even with peers, possible peers, the hiring manager, and so on. So it's a very crucial step of the candidate experience. So let's deep dive maybe in that stage. So we'll have a page for each specific stage. So here I have, is my candidate experience in general score going up or down after this stage, which is the most, if we want the most personal one, because you start to meet a lot of people. So in theory, it should go up. And as you see here, we have data coming from the ATS. It's important to understand how many candidates they pass this stage. Sometimes, of course, not everyone will pass the rejected ones. And here we have a big portion, a 30%, that spontaneously withdrew, so they abandoned the process. So maybe for us, they were good candidates, but they will abandon the process because of whatever reason. And with Qualtrics, you can understand the why behind this 30%. So if I click here, now I'm filtering all the dashboard by this filter. So now I'm seeing just the candidate that spontaneously abandoned at this stage. And I can see clearly here, these are the drivers of the candidate experience. It's scoring very, very low, which is timeliness. If I scroll down, I have the deep dive of timeliness. I can check from the withdrawn candidates, for example, the single question, the communication from my recruiter was not timely enough, let's say. And so from here, I go down, we have our IQ analytics that is called StatsIQ. Will run statistical analysis on the data and will directly suggest to the recruiter that maybe we don't want that everyone is a stats expert. So Qualtrics will do the analysis for you and will just suggest you what will be the first best action to take to improve the candidate experience at this stage that will have a biggest impact on the overall satisfaction. So in this case, again, is what we saw. So timeliness, make sure you are responsive and follow up after an interview or in general. And that's how we close the gap with experience, with bad experience, of course. Then let's go back for a second to the last stage, the overall page, but I want to focus on the last stage. So this is when you offer, you do an offer to a candidate that went through all the process. So John, let's pretend I'm still John, I went through all the process and then I get an offer. So it's a big time-consuming work for the talent team and also cost-wise. Imagine if I decline the offer at the last stage. This happens, of course, and maybe because at the end I stay in my current company or I accept an offer of some other company. And this is will have a big impact because as a recruiter, then I need to start again from scratch, finding a new candidate for that open position. So it's a very crucial moment. From here, again, this is the page specific on the last stage. I can see data coming from the ATS. I see that 12% of candidates that arrive to the end, at the end, they decline the offer. So I want to decrease as much as possible this number. Then going down, I have some demographic data, again, coming from the ATS. And from here, I can see if there are some particular breakdown. For example, I can see here that in the geographic breakdown, Ireland has a much higher decline rate of 30, even more than 30%. So if I filter by here, now I'm filtering again all the dashboard by this filter, and I can check. Let's filter, sorry, just the country. So I still see the breakdown, and I can see that in the gender breakdown, I see there is a big difference between female and male again. And so in Ireland, we have 37, almost 38% of candidates just refusing the offer at the last step. And in general, I can see from the age profile, they are the youngest candidates from 20 to 39. So what could be the issue? This is what you know, thanks to your ATS system. Now with Qualtrics, thanks to the feedback that you ask, maybe you will discover why a lot of female young candidates are declining the offer in Ireland. So if I scroll down, I see that, for example, both candidates who accepted, but also, of course, the one who declined are scoring very low in the details of my package were very clear. So possibly there is something wrong with the benefit package. The next step is to check with our text analytics tool the open text feedback. So we have it here, and we have a topic called benefit. So as I said before, TextIQ will give a sentiment score from very negative to very positive to each comment and tag it with topics. So now I'm interested in the benefits. In this case, I'm still filtering by just Ireland candidates. And I have the possibility here, I saw that the topic were really, the sentiment was really negative for benefit. Here, the possibility to read few comments from candidates who have negative feedback about benefits. And more or less, they're talking all about the same issue here. So we discover, thanks to TextIQ, that the problem is there are not enough maternity benefits in the offer compared to the competitor, maybe, or in general to the market. So this is a simple example, but is where you can really take action and improve, in this case, the benefit package. So it was not about the money, it was more specific about one benefit.
So Federico,
yes.
Federico, let's try to make that the beauty of new technology. We can make that a bit interactive. We have a question here that says, you're showing and you have decided to go on one specific stage of the candidate life cycle. Is there a way with what we provide to see how well we're performing at each of the stage? Like what's the satisfaction at the screening stage, the dialogue stage, and so on. So is there a way that we could see the performance, during the different stage?
Perfect, good question. So the dashboard are role-based. So according to the access that you give, you can have access to all stage or just a single stage. From the first page, you have the overall view of all the stages, as we saw before, when it loads. So from here, you know, of course, for example, I'm doing quite lower in the apply stage and the interview stage. But then I also have some more cross-stage metrics. So if I go, for example, this is specific for recruiter. So this is the page thought for improving the recruiter across all stages. So here I'm getting the feedback. These are the specific questions about the recruiter. So I want to know how I'm performing across different stages and where I can improve. So in this case, for example, we go back to the timeliness of before. Recruiters are not responsive enough. But here, with also the open text feedback, I could get more and more cross-stage and an overview altogether.
Absolutely.
And of course, the single comments about the recruiter itself.
Fantastic. And at which stage do you start to know, how anonymous are the answers, or how do you know who has answered what? Because, like you picked on the people who withdrew, is there a way to figure out who are the people who withdrew? Because there might be some golden candidates there, and I may make a specific effort to get them back. So is there a way?
Yes, of course. Here we are seeing the final result, which is the aggregated data with the dashboard. But from Qualtrics, we integrate with the ATS. And of course, so you will have the possibility to identify the single candidate there is a step in the middle. So Qualtrics will integrate and will pass all the contacts to our directory. In our directory, you have all the single candidates with their score. Then in the dashboard, you see the aggregated score. But you are able, of course, to go to the single potential very, very good candidate to close the loop and maybe hopefully make a change the opinion.
Okay, and you type, I have another question, is you type the answer in Italian. So just clarify, are you saying, so how does Qualtrics handle multi-language?
Yeah, so each survey, now that was an intercept, but even when you receive a survey after you are in the system, can be multi-language. Usually we will capture the language, or the preferred language of the browser, so we'll open it automatically in your preferred language. And then our TextIQ will analyze whatever language comes in, give a sentiment score in the native language. And then to build the topic model, you will need to decide one primary language. In our case was English. So the comments will be automatically translated to build the topic model. But the sentiment score is given in the native language. So that's very important.
So Federico, I'd like to say, I'm careful with the time, and I'd like to say that your presentation demonstration have triggered a fairly large number of questions, which demonstrate that you did a great job at teasing people and teasing the audience here. So thank you so much. Grazie mille, I think you say. Hopefully that translates well with Qualtrics.
Yeah. Okay, and, so I'll stop presenting. We'll go with the summary. Thank you.
Yeah. So, yes, thank you. So a few closing remarks. I think that what we saw is something that will give you an incredible insight into how the people relate to their candidate experience. And most of companies I've heard of so far, very much what they can only do is look at Glassdoor. And we all know how Glassdoor results can be biased because of who actually say the worst and who say the best about their candidate experience. So there is not much that can be really action from Glassdoor, except that it is a very visible number metric KPI that either the CHRO or even higher at board level look at it, because they understand that the employer brand is actually a key element of the company brand, and that drives business at another level. So what we do is very clear. I've worked with Qualtrics to really understand how to actually get to that level of an out-of-the-box model called candidate experience. It's not only about technology. I hope you have seen that it's coming with a proven practice. It's coming with preset, elements built on top of the platform of Qualtrics that help us to actually make that happen very quickly. It's also, Federico mentioned a few times ATS. I think we need to mention here, because we have a number of AKT customers on the line. It has native integration also with SuccessFactors, or very much with SuccessFactors, but also with other type of technology. We mentioned the ticketing, but we can also mention the integration with Teams, the integration with Slack. So many type of integration to make that element of candidate experience at the core of all the elements that streamline your process, but also in the context of the collaboration between the hiring teams and the management. So what does AKT do is to actually provide you with some local advisory on this process. One of the questions was, hey, there are all these 5 stages. How do I know where to start? And how do I actually build a North Star roadmap to actually have a regular cadence to get quick wins, to actually get to my hiring plan? That is what we do at AKT. We provide that local advisory for process change, business value engineering, meaning assessing how well you perform and looking at how much better you could perform and how that will translate in tangible benefits. But we also provide you with a centralized delivery team that can help you to get the implementation very fast in a very cost-efficient way. Let's speak about numbers. We ambition to help you kickstart, jumpstart the candidate experience within a month or 2 maximum, meaning that as we're getting in the heart of the hiring campaign to close, to get into the H2 of 2021, but also to build the pipeline of candidates so that you can go and hire the people to start on budget 2022, we believe we can actually help you get there in a much faster way. To make that happen, our proposal is to actually have a follow-up discussion. First, hear your feedback from your presentation, answer to your question, and perhaps get more about your personal context, your company context, so that we can help you scope and help you actually build a business case so that you could make a decision for this quarter to come, or to prepare for next year. So that's really what that proposal from AKT is about. So I'd like to thank you all for joining that webinar. You've been steady staying with us all along the webinar, which is good sign. And that is actually telling me that you're joining me to thank all the panelists for the quality of what we've delivered. I think that I would slightly apologize for some of the technical hurdles that we have faced, but the good news is that the demo was right, the demo effect. So we didn't have the demo effect, but we had a little bit of technical challenges. Obviously, we will look at improving them time over time as we're going to do more of the webinars. So again, ready to hear back from you and engage on the follow-up activities. And I'm giving the mic back to Michelle for the final word.
Thanks, Eric. And thank you very much, Goni, Anne, and Federico, for your time today to present. Thank you for all the registrants who also took the time today to join us. We had over 100 online today, so really, really great number. Thank you so much. Thank you for taking the time. Hope you found this insightful. As Eric mentioned, we are here to help you in your experience management journey, wherever in that journey you may be, how fast you might need to deploy it or optimize it. As he mentioned, we have a suggestion for following up with yourselves after this webinar. On the survey that you will receive automatically when I turn off this webinar, it will give you the opportunity to let us know what elements you want to drill down on and learn more about, and how we can schedule those meetings with yourselves, and we will follow up with you in due course. So with that, we hope you have a good rest of the day and a great week. As I say, and I have been saying during coronavirus, please stay healthy, everyone, and have a fantastic day. All the best.